Appreciate you being here. A little tie a while ago, but it's good to see you out. Genesis chapter 40. We're going to finish up our study today about Joseph. I kind of want to back up a little bit. Last week, I kind of jumped from his early years, I guess is a good way to say it, his younger age, being traded off into slavery, his positioning in Pharaoh's house, him running away from the advances of Pharaoh's wife. Always good to think about those things. As he got older, he had opportunity, though, to, if you think about, turn on his brothers. His brothers were afraid of him because of that, because of the way he had been treated. Family issues in the church today are still possible. We hope they don't occur, but they still happen. Not to that extent. When we've had issues with our family, how do we settle those? What comes first? Well, I mean, yeah, not in our area, our immediate families, but God's Word. Today, not to be too I don't know what the word I want to use is there, but I had a conversation yesterday with a member of my family, and the comment was made there'll be more people at church tomorrow than there's been in 5 years. And I said, 5 years? And I was kind of playing on him a little bit. And what he was saying was, today is a special day. It is not. Is it more special today than next Thursday? No, we're definitely head shakes. Is last Sunday less important than today? If you look at the Bible, we talk about holy days and different days, especially around this time of year. People refer back to the feast that they had. In the Old Testament, we talk about a lot of the altars and things that were built, the places sacrifices were offered. And as they obeyed God in their travels, they never forgot God until the point when they left God and they had troubles, had issues. And when they returned to God, obviously the troubles went away. That's kind of the parallel we're going to make with our families today. Will it be easy? No. Will it be rewarding in the end? Yes. But there may be things in this life we have to deal with that if we let the Bible speak, let the Bible guide us, we'll be okay. In the end, God will never do anything, He wants the best for us. We may not see that right now, but those conversations that we have with our family about the churches of Christ, the Bible, Jesus, death, burial, and resurrection, the Lord's Supper, the things that we teach, things we practice, baptism is a big dividing point with a lot of people. The key is get back to the Bible, get back to the Word of God, get back to the book of Acts, get back to the Gospels, read the book, and that's all the soapbox I'm going to stand on today. I'm going to drop it right there and move on. Any comments or questions about the world importance of today? I know we've got even in our own families some special activities, but that shouldn't interfere or preempt what we're doing here. In the pink books on page 23 is where our lesson text comes from today. And I think it's Genesis 40. And we talked about the going down to being sold into slavery. His opinion, his attitude, what he did when he got there. He worked and found favor with God, or God had, I think the phrase was God was with him, was one of the phrases we looked at last week. And he grew, and everything that he did, he was blessed by God. Jump down to Genesis 40, chapter 1, we'll pick up there. Verse 21 of verse 30 of chapter 39. But the Lord was with Joseph, that's the phrase I was looking for, and showed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. The keeper of the prison committed Joseph's hand, all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. And the keeper of the prison looked not into anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, and the Lord made it prosper. Whenever we get a raise at work, whenever we get a review that's positive, other than thinking we got to pay more taxes, what crosses our mind? Do we ever thank God for our ability to work? Are we ever that grateful? Or we just kind of roll with it and keep on rolling? If we're not careful, we'll just keep, that's just part of it. We won't think about it. But notice what happened in Joseph's life. Whenever he was prospered or whenever he was blessed, he remembered the Lord. He didn't leave the Lord. Verse 40, or chapter 40, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended the Lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against the two officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, a place where Joseph was found. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they could continue the season in the ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his own dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of the Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said to him, We have dreamed a dream, there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said to them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and he said to him, My dream is, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine there were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them in Pharaoh's cup. I gave him the cup to Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee into thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup to his hand after the former manner which thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, to me, and make mention of thee to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. Verse 14 is very telling verse if you think about it. Joseph had just interpreted the dream of the butler, and he says, when you get back in your position, remember me. We're going to see just how long it took him to remember here in a few minutes. But remember that verse 14. When you're restored into your position, remember me. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that should put me into this dungeon. When the chief baker saw what the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, I also had a dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket there was all manner of baked meats from Pharaoh, and the birds did eat of it out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Sounds good so far. Just like the butler, 3 days, something's going to happen. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee upon a tree, and the birds shall eat the flesh off thee. And it came to pass that the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a great feast to all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler into his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. These dreams. How many had a dream last night? How many can remember a dream they had last night? It's very rare that you remember those dreams. What's different today than here in Genesis with these dreams? What's one key difference we have or we don't have? God's intervention. God's giving Joseph the ability to tell what's going to happen in the future. If we have a dream today, we're kind of on our own. We're thinking about what our subconscious mind is thinking or doing. Maybe memories come back. Different things. Maybe things we saw on TV might jar our memory. And we may have a dream, but they're not to be interpreted as from God for sure. Here in Joseph's case, he was given the ability to interpret this dream, and we're going to see later on he does it for the Pharaoh himself.
Can we think of dreams today that we have in the same way as dreams here told us?
Can we think of it? I don't think so.
Can you think in the same terms?
No.
I don't either. God doesn't speak anymore to us through dreams. How does He speak to us?
Only through the Word.
Only the Word. And His Word is complete and all sufficient. And yet people today still believe that God's talked to them through dreams.
I had the privilege of living beside someone that spoke to an angel. I had the privilege of working my first job with someone that spoke to Jesus one night and was healed. There are people that, honest, as the day is long. But you try to talk to them, and all of a sudden they've had this dream, and it overrides everything else. Like I said when I started, get them back to the Word of God, keep them steady, and then eventually, hopefully, they'll see that what they thought they had or what they thought their dream was, and the things that they thought fit in with their life. Maybe they gave the credit to the wrong person or the wrong thing. Strong delusion comes to the verse about giving them a strong delusion, teaching untruths and believing untruths. They may continue therein. So we need to look at the dreams that are being made, the reasoning behind it. We've already talked about what Joseph said, make mention to me to Pharaoh when you come back to your position, and the things that happen. If you look at verse 1 of chapter 41, it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed a dream, and behold, there stood a river. I'm not going to read this whole chapter. What was the dream there that Pharaoh had? He had 7 what came out of the river first. What were the 7 kind that came out? What were they? How were they? They were fat. They were well-favored, fat-fleshed. They fed in the meadow. If you're a cattleman by trade, that was the best of the best, you think. That was exactly what you wanted all of your cattle to be. And verse 3, what were the next 7 that came out of the river? Ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kind upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed restored did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kind. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamed the second time. 7 years of corn came up, and then 7 years of field corn, and basically the same thing. This smaller corn did eat the fat corn, and you couldn't tell that it did eat. interpretation, if you flip over to Genesis 41, Pharaoh repeats his dreams, verses 14 through 24. Verse 25 of the chapter there, verse 25. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh was one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears, blasted with the east wind, shall be 7 years of famine. And this is that thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason that the famine shall follow, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled, said Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by the God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Not only did God send and control this dream, he did it twice. That's important to remember too. Because of the interpretation of the dream and things that Joseph had done, if you look down, talk about the storing, making preparation during the good years, gathering the corn, laying up the corn, and handing it over to 35. Verse 39 is another verse I'd like to point out. It says, the Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? Speaking about Joseph. The things that he did, the way he prospered, God was with him, and even Pharaoh recognized this. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all these things, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Verse 40, thou shalt be over my house according to thy word, shall my people be ruled. Only in throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. Being set over all the land of Egypt, Joseph didn't forget God. Joseph remembered God and was continued to be blessed with him. Toward the end of chapter 42, talk about Joseph. There's corn in Egypt. Jacob said to his sons, why do you look upon one another? Behold, I've heard that there's corn in Egypt. Go ye down thither and buy for us thence, that we may live and not die. Famine was affecting his family, obviously, to the point that, as the story goes, the brothers were sent, and basically they saved Jacob and the brothers. I didn't mark it. There was look down about the middle of verse, in chapter 42. I'll jump over there, verse 21 of 42. They went down to Egypt to get the grain. Joseph said basically that if you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye carry your corn and famine to your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, and so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. Verse 21 of 42. And they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul, when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child? And you would not hear me. And you would not hear. Therefore, behold also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by the interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Joseph commanded them to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way. And thus did he unto them. They laid their asses in their corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the end, he despised his money, for behold, it was in the sack's mouth. And he said to his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them. And they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this God hath done to us? How do you go from blaming yourselves for an evil that you did to blaming God that quick?
Very easily.
If we're not careful, we'll slip up there too.
If you do something wrong at home, don't blame yourself, blame your wife.
Now, Roy,
Always good.
we can't do that. We can't blame our wives for everything. Better be careful with that one.
I think of this, and I think that God could send a prophet to these people. They wouldn't listen. So he sent a praise. They still wouldn't listen. And of course, God has chosen ways to try to get people's attention and make them believe. And if he had sent a prophet to them, it would have been even worse. I think. That's what I think. That's the reason God spoke to the dreams and things, because he was trying to get a message to them, and they wasn't going to hear from a prophet. You're supposed to say that's really intelligent. I'm still listening.
That is we're not told why they didn't send a prophet. I don't know. Were they not knowing that this was their son, their brother, excuse me? Were they in the right mind to be fearful of Joseph? Probably so. He was number 2 in the whole kingdom of Egypt. He had all of the land of Egypt's corn in store. Whether they lived or died was up to him. And they saw this as if you think about it, something that would definitely push them over the edge away from salvation. The money was restored. It was in the mouth of their sack. They saw it and they were afraid. Skip down to, for time's sake, I think we're all kind of familiar with the story. I'm going to go ahead and jump over toward the end of it, where Joseph reveals himself to his brethren. Joseph went away. He just returned away and wept after he talked to them through an interpreter, so they would recognize his voice, or know that he knew their language, basically. As they talked in front of him, he understood what they were saying. And he wept. He still loved his family, especially his father and his brothers, even though they sold him into slavery. I didn't mark it, but go ahead and flip over to 45. Joseph was a crying man. May have been the idea of my sermon or my class today. Verse 41, or chapter 41, verse 1 says, Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, because every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years remaining, 5 years in which there shall be neither earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prosperity in the earth and to save your soul, your lives, by a great deliverance. So now, it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father of Pharaoh, and the Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, go to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord over all of Egypt. Come down to me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, forget there 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come property. And behold, your eyes shall see, and the eyes of thy brother Benjamin, that is in my mouth, that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all the glory of Egypt, and all that ye have seen. And ye shall hasten to bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all of his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talked with him. God sent Joseph to Egypt. We talked a little bit about last week about if our brothers told us, or how we would feel if our own family turned against us. It takes a very righteous person to say this is God's plan. This was the providence of God taking care of us, sending me to Egypt before you. Most people would say that God had very little to do with it, but a righteous man will look at it and say, in the end, God's will be done. And likewise today, even though there are issues and troubles in our daily lives, let's always have faith in the Lord. Any comments? I've read just about all the readings today, taking up most of the time. Great. One of the things as I read that, they talked with him. In verse 16, the fame was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants. In the book, if you think we got down to the bottom of page 23, I think it is, number 11, we talked about the dreams of Potiphar, the lies of Potiphar's wife, excuse me. Verse 11, the 2 dreams that Joseph interpreted in prison were the butler and the baker, one being restored, one being killed. The ears of grain, we read about that. What position, number 14, was Joseph given in the Egyptian government? What was his place or position in Egypt? Second in all the land. Pharaoh was the only one above him. Does that sound familiar with Potiphar's house? Kind of in a little way. He was given charge over everything.
How much confidence do you put in dreams today as ridiculous was from happen?
Me? Personally, none whatsoever.
None. God would sunder times and divided matters, make his fathers, who the prophets has in these last days spoken to us through his Son. God don't speak today to anybody on this earth directly. He speaks to us through his word. If religious word understand that, it'd be free from a lot of foolishness.
There are denominations that are set up on that idea of dreams, interpretations. We need to work with them. Just because they believe something different than we do, we need to work with them. Don't just find them out. Many times I feel sorry for some of the people that come knock on the door. Sandra will send me the door, and she'll talk to them too long. I'm like, it depends. Depends on what they got, what they're selling, where they're from. She calls them my friends because they keep coming back, but keep the conversation going. When you find someone that says salvation is a gift of God and you can't earn it, you can't do anything to obtain it, agree with them. But get them to read the Bible. Yes, we can't earn it, but there are requirements. There is a difference, especially when you hear someone say that baptism is not required for salvation. I got online last night and found a pretty good explanation about Easter, Passover, days, dates, and I wanted to see who it was. He gave his name, and he was from some, I think it was from, I want to say Kansas City or some seminary, and it all sounds really good up to a point. This website is factual, is Bible-based, and we're giving the answers as God would have us give them. It sounds like he is seriously concerned about your soul. And later on, you want to say, well, if that's the way you receive salvation, why did Paul have to be baptized for his remission of sins? He was still in his sins while he prayed. But yet this man that's got this website up, he said that he received Christ that night in prayer as he prayed. And he was saved forever. Where does that fit the Word of God? And I think that's, like I said, that's just one example. We can see it online every night, every day. We will look it up. There are thousands and thousands of websites that are teaching some error. And we need to be careful of that. But use it as an opportunity. Talk to the people that are so, especially the religious people. Don't be afraid of them. They're the people that are at least showing some interest in God's Word. Hopefully we can get to steady, keep reading, especially the book of Acts. Every account of the word was baptized at the end to be added to the church for the remission of sins. That's a huge separation of fact between us and the Baptists. So think about those things. Sorry, I digress again. The second in command over all the land. Did his brothers recognize Joseph when they came to Egypt? Not at first. Over those many years, he had changed enough. Also, I think one of the things I read about, or talked, I don't think I read this morning, but when Joseph was taken to Pharaoh, he shaved himself and washed himself before he was brought to Pharaoh. He cleaned up, basically, his appearance from going from the dungeon up to Pharaoh. So he had changed physically, obviously, grown. His brothers didn't recognize him until he made the announcement to him and told them basically who he was and what he had done. And they basically had forgiven them because God had led him to this. Question 16. What advice did Joseph give the brothers as he sent them home the last time? What was his make haste? Go and get my father, basically, and come down for the salvation of our families. Question 17. How did Joseph show that his true spirit of forgiveness? As we read, what did he do?
Got no hatred for his brother.
Being number 2 in command in all of Egypt, what could he have done? Instantly. He would have. He had that power and that authority. But he didn't. He still loved them, still cared about them, still saw the big picture that God had laid out. Number 18. In what ways was Joseph a type of Christ? How is he similar to Jesus?
He was a savior of his people. He was there saving them because of him. They were killed. Most of the people. He got to be ruler of each.
The salvation, obeying God's will, God's plans. Forgiving. Very forgiving. being second in command. One of the songs we sing before the Lord's Supper a lot of times. I don't know the titles, 10,000 angels or whatever, but Christ had ultimate power. You think about it, he could have stopped the crucifixion, he could have stopped the beating, he could have stopped it all. But he didn't. He loves us in a similar way that Joseph loved his brother. In question number 19, what is the most important lesson taught in the story of Joseph? And I think we talked about the ultimate forgiveness and the providence of God. The two things there. If you flip over in Genesis, flip down to the last chapter of Genesis, chapter 50. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to go into the lesson about Moses, but I'm going to do a little book work before that. Like Jacob and Joseph, there's references here at the end of Genesis talking about the seed that would come from Abraham, through Isaac, through Jacob, through Joseph, on to Jesus Christ.
What you say was the most important lesson? I didn't get it.
It was either the total, the righteousness of Joseph and his forgiveness, or the providence of God. There's twofold there.
Most important lesson, no doubt, not the Spirit of God.
Thank you.
Because God is in the world.
Right. Which is his providence. We don't see that all the time. We struggle with that a lot.
Let man choose his own free will. God is in control.
Very, very true. If you look at the last chapter, one of the things that when Jacob died, was taken back, was buried. Pharaoh allowed him to go back and bury his father. Then he came back, verse 50 is where Jacob dies. End of chapter 50, the death of Joseph. If you look down toward the end of that chapter, and Joseph said to them, verse 19 and 50, fear not, for I am in the place of God. Fear not, for am I in a place of God? Question. He knew he was dying. He knew he was into his physical life was about over. Hopefully that's our goal too. We want to be with God when this is wrapped up. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it good to bring to pass as to this day, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly to them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw his children to the third generation. The children also of Bachar, the son of Manasseh, have brought up upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said to his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land, to the land which he sware to Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry my bones from him. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and was embalmed, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. Next,
Joseph had a lot of responsibility put on him. Joseph had a lot of responsibility put on him.
And one of the things we talked about, several of us that we never thought would be called grandpa have gotten to that point now. Joseph was rewarded with being able to live and see his grandchildren, his third generation, playing with his grandchildren was a blessing. But moving on and dying, serving the Lord was even greater. If you look at the next verse in the Bible, it talks about the names of the children of Israel came into Egypt, and then we get down to a king that knew not Joseph quickly in Exodus chapter 1. And that's going to be where we pick up next week. Dealing with Moses, the great lawgiver, and also the people that basically the power that switched from Joseph being number 2 in the kingdom to a king that knew not Joseph. Appreciate your reading and your attendance, especially in your comments, and we'll pick up there next week. Thank you. Appreciate it.